Yeah!
It's Josh Williams here, and welcome to another bonus episode of the One Man Podcast, brought to you by Absolute Comedy. And today my guest is the man behind the curtain at Absolute Comedy. He's a comedian. He's the lead singer and guitarist of the Life Size Men, who will be performing this year at RBC Bluesfest. That's Thursday, the 12th of July. My buddy, Jeff Tanguay, welcome, and thanks for joining me.
Hey, Josh, glad to be here. You've neglected to mention former comic. I haven't done it in like 5 years.
Yeah, but what have I done in a long time? I just run my mouth on stage. I haven't done anything. But that's how you and I met. Now you're a very accomplished musician, and I've actually heard a lot of your stuff. You've been in several bands and whatnot. But just for the sake, because I want to talk about the music honestly more than the comedy, but just for the listeners, let's ask about the comedy part first, and then we'll get into music. Here's a funny thing. Is you are the man behind the curtain at Absolute Comedy. You're the manager. You're there during the day.
I'm there during the day, yeah. I am.
Yeah, and there's so many comedians who have called the club during the day to ask a question about getting a spot or whatever.
Yeah.
And have never, like, you're just a voice. You're Charlie.
And I'm still a voice if they're listening to this. They don't
That is true.
mystery guy.
Like, there's so many people who've called you every single, month to ask for a spot. And then when I say, like, oh, you got to call Jeff for something, they're like, who's Jeff? I'm like, the guy you've been calling for 6 years to get spots.
Well, it's the same for me too. There's a lot of these dudes that I talk to that call, every month to sign up, and I know the name and I know their voice, and then we're at a party or something, and they're like, "Hey, I'm so and so." It's like, "Oh, I know you kind of."
Yeah,
I didn't know what you looked like.
I've written your name down many times.
You're much shorter and uglier than I imagined.
That's awesome. So how did you get into comedy?
Well, when my old band, the Town Criers, broke up in '92, I was just basically looking for something to do. So I started doing the Wednesday nights at Yuck Yucks, and it was just something to do. I still wanted to perform in some capacity, so I started doing that. And the good thing about having played in bands for years is, even if my comedy stunk when I started, at least I could play guitar well. So it's like, hey, this guy can really play guitar.
Yeah.
Too bad about the jokes.
Did you incorporate right from the get-go music into your act?
Yeah, it was mostly all guitar stuff when I started. And, I know the first time I did Yuck Yucks, I had my electric guitar and amp on stage, and it was basically just nonsense. I'd just be like, look at this guy. Then I'd thrash on the guitar and then, look at her. So it's stupid, but
I love that stuff. You have something that I would see you since I've known you that you would open with was just sort of like you'd play a tune and you do like this sort of like humming thing.
Yeah, it was like a riff on Elvis. So no actual lyrics, just like baby, 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 and that was the whole song. And then and then I'd shake my hips and stuff. And so it was just basically a non-joke comedy bit where I'm not. I'm just making fun of Elvis saying baby all the time. Right.
And then you have one where it's almost like where you're sort of playing Wipeout or something similar to Wipeout, right?
Oh yeah, where I would do the riff with my mouth. I'd be like, no, 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 no. And then when the song ended, that's how I'd continue talking like, no, 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 no. So yeah.
Which is fucking hilarious. I love that because
Are you allowed to say the F word here, Josh?
You can say anything you want.
Oh, okay. Good.
I don't edit a thing.
Yeah. So this is just basically me using music in lieu of actually writing jokes and just being silly on stage. So. It was fun. It was like, I think Winston Spear often, did the same thing. He tried to avoid comedy as much as he could. So he'd dance, by the end there, last time I saw him, he was dancing for like 30 out of 45 minutes that he was performing.
Yeah. He dances his way to the stage with just some goofy sort of sounds and whatever.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way though. You're like, he's doing everything he can to avoid comedy while doing comedy. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. I had another bit where I had my little speak and spell where, I'm just pushing letters and numbers and trying to make them sound like words. And so that was a good 5-minute bit of me doing nothing but standing on stage pushing buttons,
I hate me, but you know what though? There's a lot of comics trying to do that stuff now. There's guys like Dimitri Martin, just a pad of paper, drawing goofy shapes and then trying to say what it looks like, or
I mean, it's a fun approach. I mean, I think when I started doing comedy, I was not a huge comedy fan. I mostly did it to be an anti-comic, because I remember watching, that was back when, Caroline's and Evening at the Improv was on. So it was all these guys doing the same sort of jokes on the same sort of topics. And I was like, well, if I ever do it, I won't do that. I'm going to do something totally different.
Yeah.
And, So that's what I tried. But then, you find after a while that sometimes your quirky, approach to comedy doesn't fly with the crowd. So you got to start doing stuff that the crowd gets into. And I know by the end there, I was just like, I don't like any of these jokes that I do that work. I want to do my weird stuff, but my weird stuff doesn't work, so I can't do it. And so then I was like, maybe I'll pick up the guitar again.
Well, how long were you doing comedy before you started getting, like, you were performing at Yucks?
Yeah.
And how long before you started getting like the weekends and the paid work and stuff like that?
Well, I got the odd opener after about a year, I think. And then I won a contest too, so I got to go to Toronto and compete against all the other club winners. So
that's awesome.
I beat someone named Jason Lawrence, who you might know.
Yep.
Yeah.
For anyone.
The 6 finalists. So I beat Jason and got to go to Toronto, which was nice. They actually flew us there, and we got to stay in the Royal York. So this was back when it was a big deal to win those sort of contests.
So that's why Jason hired you years later. So he just had to find a way to put you underneath him for some reason.
No, I knew Jason actually before I even started doing comedy. He and I used to work at a restaurant at the Ottawa Athletic Club years ago, and Angelo Sarukas was also a waiter there at the time. Yeah. And so I think it was 92 when I was thinking of trying comedy. I went to Yuck Yucks, and Jason was one of the guys performing on the amateur night. I was like, oh, I know this guy. Of course, Jason didn't remember me.
No, of course not.
I was like, oh, yes, and you are. Well, I'm the guy who worked with you for like 5 years in that restaurant.
What a dick.
So I started doing it, and about a year until I got openers, and then maybe a couple of years before I started middling and emceeing and stuff. And then, I started doing all the Ontario clubs and did a Eastern tour, I think, after about 5 years, Thunder Bay ran. Nice. And, then sort of stuck at that level for about 4 years. And then when Jason opened Absolute, I was like, hey, do you need anyone to work at the club? He's like, oh, I guess so.
So Jay's approach, of course,
he still had his paper route at the time. So he's like, well, when I'm doing my paper route during the days, maybe you can answer the phones. And,
yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is like you're, in terms of personalities, you're polar opposite to Jay. Like I always say that you're the yin to his yang, because as much as he's crazy and aggressive and all over the place, like you're very calm, respectful, courteous. Like I always tell people, I'm like, if you really talk to Jeff, if you have an issue, just talk to Jeff. I go, Jeff's going to be fair. I go, don't fucking take advantage. But Jeff's fair.
Yeah, I'm pretty hard to take advantage of, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's like if someone's I guess what their question for me is, hey, I'm looking for da da da. I go, well, no, you can't talk to Jeff about that. That's trying to take advantage. I go, you're not going to take advantage. But if your question is something reasonable, like for example, what I mean is, like, let's say someone has a complaint about the club. Mm-hmm. They're not going to call during the day to get their way. They're going to call during the day to have a reasonable conversation. Yeah. So that's where I'll send people for you. But Jay's. Insane.
Yeah, I've never had a customer, or I never had a conversation with an irate customer when I ended with the call with, well, fuck you too.
Which is Jay's, that's what it's in his training video.
Yeah.
It's like, if you have a customer, just make sure that you tell them off afterwards.
Yeah.
They'll think that they've won.
No, I'm willing to stay on the line for 20 minutes until they finally leave, somewhat satisfied.
Yeah, exactly.
They get their bitching out over with, and then I'm like, okay.
Well, the amount of times that Jason has told, either you or me to call somebody, I can't talk to them. I'm not able to do that. I can't talk to those people. I can't be nice to them. It's like, you run a business. You got to learn how to have some level of humility. But it's, like I said, it's that worked out for Jay in such a great way to have you at the club, because, like I say, you're doing an amazing job, and you really are the operations of that place. Like, so much of the
well, I don't know about that, but I can pretty much do anything that needs to be done to fix stuff, and
I think you do. Well, I mean, Jason's not booking most of the comics that are listening to this, you're the guy who gets them on.
Yeah, if they're calling for the Wednesdays, yes, then they would talk to me.
Yeah.
First Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m. if you're interested in signing up.
They still ask me all the time. But I mean, so you did comedy with Yucks. You started with Absolute when it opened, and you've been there since the beginning, I guess.
Yeah, I started in 2004. So when I started there, I figured, that was it, for doing comedy, and then, and I was fine with that. At least, as far as touring, I knew I wasn't going to be touring anywhere. But then Jason kept saying, hey, can you middle this coming month? And I was like, Okay.
That's what it is.
And so it was a good 10 years of me grudgingly, still doing comedy like twice a year or whatever. So I know by the end there, I don't think I finished a week. In the last 5 times I was booked, I was getting, some new guy to take the Sunday nights for me or something.
Right.
It's like, oh, I don't want to do this. Just take the Sunday for me. And
What do you remember when the last time you did stand up was?
no, it was a Christmas party, probably like 5 years ago or
That
something.
long?
Yeah.
Because I remember the Christmas parties. Like I know because it's just you're already there, so it's easy to have just a
Yeah.
spot fill in or whatever.
So
But, yeah, I
it
didn't
might have
realize
been a luncheon Christmas party, or there's a dude named Elliot Smith who knew me from Yuck Yucks days, and he'd call me once every 3 or 4 years and say, "Hey, can you do this gig for me?" And
Didn't we did one
might have
together.
did one
You,
of those, yeah.
myself, and Pierre Bro or Jim McNally. We did one at the convention center on Colonnade. I think.
yeah,
Do you think that would have been like the last time?
that might have been one of them. Yeah,
Jeez. And then that was a few years ago. Yeah.
yeah.
Jeez, time flies. Well, for what it's worth, I always enjoyed watching your act. Like I said, I mean, it was silly. There was a lot of stuff to it, but it was different, and that's what I enjoyed about it. I mean, you would use the music. I remember you would have you do a really good mix between, because obviously Ottawa being so close to Gatineau, you have a good mix of like some French humor.
Oh yeah. Well, I live
too.
over in the hillside of, so yeah, I had some stuff, that obviously I picked up from living over there for 20 years.
Yeah. But it works. Like
Yeah.
it was great. I honestly always enjoyed watching you perform.
Oh, well, thanks, man.
So yeah. You guys know me. I do a little dick sucking here on the podcast. But sir, but in all fairness, I really did enjoy watching you work, and it would always, I will always maintain a pleasant hope that one day you'll pop back on.
You never
stage
know,
and,
maybe, I mean, it's hard too, because when I started, I was, sort of that rock and roll dude, and I was 30, but I looked probably 20, and so I was a young hip dude. Now I'm like, I'm 54 now. So
Are you really?
Yeah. So
I didn't think you were that
that stuff doesn't fly now. So maybe when I'm a grumpy old man, and I will, write a whole new act of grumpy old man material. But
yeah, there's a lot of guys that Jay will bring in once. That I won't name names. But yeah, no, that's wicked. Now, obviously, I want to talk about the main thing, because more so than comedy and your managerial work, you're a very accomplished musician. You started off in a group called the Town Criers, right?
no, before that,
I'm
I was
so
in a band called Gonsko Beat.
Right. Sorry.
And that band was only around a couple of years, but we had some good success. We, were on a CBC television show, that was shown nationwide, called Rock Wars, where every city had, 3 or 4 bands competing. And then I think the winner from each week, got to, compete against all the other winners. So we lost to 8 Seconds, which was a pretty well-known band in Ottawa at that time. Or came in second to 8 Seconds, so that's pretty good. And then we also got to play at the Congress Center, opening up for the Spoons, which was a pretty cool gig. So that was for however many people fit in the Congress Center, 5,000-6,000 people.
Nice.
So, and we'd had a bunch of videos on Much Music, because when we were out, we didn't actually record any records, but we did make a bunch of videos. And Much Music was hurting for CanCon at that time, so we had like three videos that got piles of airplay on Much Music,
Nice.
which was pretty cool. Anyway, that band broke up after a couple of years, and then I started a band called the Town Criers with a couple friends of mine, and we put out 3 records. Well, actually, we put out 2 records. We put out our 3rd record last Christmas. We had
okay.
So we did a reunion show at Irene's. We put out a 25th anniversary release of the 3rd record that we didn't release back in 1992, and so that show was picked as one of the top 10 concerts of 2017 by Ottawa Life magazine.
Nice.
And through that, we got a spot at the Bluesfest this summer. So
the reunion show.
The reunion band got a Bluesfest spot, which is pretty wild.
Which is rare for a lot of bands.
Yeah.
A lot of bands come back out of nowhere and they get good. I mean, the stage had to collapse on Cheap Trick to get them some good media and some good press. If anyone doesn't know about that, one of the stages at this big festival here collapsed. So for anyone, let's put it this way. Because I remember hearing Bill Burr one time on his podcast. He was coming to do Bluesfest, but he didn't know what it was. He just knew what it was called that he was doing. And he's like, I'm going up to Canada to do like a Bluesfest. He's like, so what's it gonna be like it's outside, it's gonna be like a bunch of Canadian bikers. And he's like, how tough can they be? Like he had no idea what he was talking about. So just for anyone listening going, oh, Bluesfest, because we're gonna play some of your music throughout the episode from different bands, right?
Yeah.
That you've been in. And so just in case anyone hears and goes, he's going to Bluesfest, but this stuff doesn't sound like blues.
Yeah.
Or maybe some of the songs that you've picked do. But Bluesfest has, I mean, over the years morphed and quite radically. Only it's ever since I've been paying attention to it, it has long since taken on its new form. But it's basically all sorts of different bands.
It's a rock and roll festival,
Yeah.
music festival. They've got any type of genre there. So I know they usually have like a country night. They've got when we're playing this July, we're on rap night. We're there with Shaggy and Naughty by Nature.
Yeah, and Snoop Dogg has been there, and
Yeah.
there's so many bands that you would go like again. I think Lady Gaga has been there.
Yeah,
before.
the last time I played Bluesfest, it was with my friend John, who's also a member of the Town Criers, and he's been a solo dude for about 15 years. Your friends in Monkey Junk know him. He does a show every Saturday at Quinn's on Bank, and I know Steve and Tony D have played on that show with him. So John got a solo spot at Bluesfest in 2014. And so we were on the same night as Snoop Dogg.
Okay.
So on the same stage too. So
Oh, really?
So we were on like 2 PM, and by the time Snoop showed up, we had to clear the backstage area. Like no one was allowed back.
Oh,
there.
really? It was that.
We were on before Bob Saget, so we didn't have to clear anything out for Bob Saget. So my kids were there, so they got their pictures taken with Bob Saget. So that was kind of fun.
That's really cool.
It's like some dude who we don't know, but we want to get a picture taken with him.
Yeah, it's like, well, if you guys were my age at the time,
Yeah.
whatever, you would have known, or well, vice versa. But that's, Bluesfest, for what it's worth, guys, a very big music festival. Probably, the biggest one in the area that I can think of.
Yeah, in Ottawa. Anyway, there's some other ones like Montebello's got a big one, and then Montreal's got a couple big ones. But
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Ottawa.
Yeah, and it's outdoor festival. What is it, 2 weeks long? Or close
I
to
think
2
it's a couple
weeks
weeks
long?
long. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's huge names. So to be a part of this, it's not like, oh, Bluesfest, they got, what is it, a weekend and they got like 6 bands. Like, no, this is a big deal. So it's very, I'm very, very excited for that. I'm trying to think. I think I've only been to a couple of them. I always seem to be out of town or incredibly busy during Blues. Like I missed Burr when he was here because I would have liked to have seen him. I was at Bluesfest when the stage collapsed.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. But I went inside. So Joey Elias and Angelo Sarukas, who you just mentioned, were doing this Just for Laughs little side thing inside the building. Mm-hmm. And I remember we got in, Joey got Crystal and I tickets. We went inside, sat down, waiting for the show to start. Maybe 3 minutes after we sit down, we just see Joey peek his head out from the curtains, and he sees me and he's like waves me and her back. So we walk over to the side of the stage, whatever. He goes, they're canceling the show. The main stage just collapsed. And I go, it's like, really? That's the best you could, it's like the best like bullshit. Like, yeah, I thought he was fucking with me.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, that's the best thing that you could think of? And he's like, no, it collapsed. I go, what? He's like, come on. So he brings me and Crystal in the back. We ended up going to the hotel to have drinks with him and Bruce Hills from Just for Laughs or whatever, and Angelo and stuff. Very intimidating for a new young comic to be sitting with the head of Just for Laughs and not pitching any jokes or anything, just sitting there quietly while he's buying us wine and stuff. I'm like, I hope to meet you someday in a good way. But when we walked out of the building, the stage was gone.
Wow.
Like that, like 3 minutes before, this giant stage outside, walk out 5 minutes later, gone. I was like, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
So
that's one of the few shows I was actually pondering, going to see because I'm a huge Cheap Trick fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, good thing you didn't
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
They're dead. Saw the demise of me. Well, there you go. You're like, I might not have been there since the beginning, but I was there at the end.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, now, I know we have some music, so we may as well take this opportunity to maybe have you throw it to one of the songs that you want to play. So the first song that you want to do is from one of the original bands?
Yeah, Gonks Go Beat. So this is a song we had a video for that's was played on Much Music a bunch. I think it's on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube. And the thing I was talking about earlier is that this song is sort of out of the blue. 2 years ago, some dude called me about using it for a pilot that comedian Dave Hempstead was doing, like a sports show. So that was pretty cool. So out of the blue, this guy's like, hey, I remember you guys from like back in the olden days, and can we use that song? We're like, yeah, sure.
That's awesome. And what's the song called?
Jungle Riff.
Jungle Riff. All right, so we're going to listen to Jungle Riff now. that was Jungle Riff, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I still haven't heard it because we're still recording. I just took a 2-second beat so I can plug it in there afterwards.
The song's like a minute 20 seconds long.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
Okay.
So yeah, I hope you didn't go up and take a pee while that song was playing there, Josh. You wouldn't have made it back in time.
Yeah, exactly. So out of curiosity, this is a question that I wanted to ask when you were first getting into it because it's fascinating to me. Is in terms of like learning to play an instrument or something like that, like a lot of people are like, I'm going to learn how to play the guitar. I'm going to learn how to play the piano. Like you can learn how to play an instrument. When it comes to making a band, like actually joining a band or whatever, like how does that work? You don't just have a bunch of guys going, hey, wouldn't it be cool to be rock stars? Yeah, let's make a band. And then it's just, that's it. Like everyone has to learn how to play this.
Yeah.
So how do you form a band?
Well, I know when I started my first band when I was in high school, there was a friend of ours got a set of drums. So that's the first thing. We know a guy with drums. And so the guy across the street from me played guitar because his dad was a guitarist.
Okay.
And so, so that's two people down. We got guitar and drums. Then we had some other guys who couldn't play anything. So one of them was going to take stand-up.
He'll be the manager.
Yeah. No, one of them was actually, we convinced him to take stand-up bass at High School Music because he was going to be our bass player and I was going to be the rhythm guitar player. Only, some guys can't play instruments, you find out later on. So, I was lucky. I was able to pick up the guitar fairly quickly. So we had two guitars and drums. And so I switched to bass because the other guitar player was actually good.
Okay.
And I was pretty new, but I had a sense of rhythm so I could actually, follow along and play bass. So that was my first high school band. And
so really that was back when you could just, there was a music class and you could just go, I'm going to learn this instrument. And that's what you learned.
Yeah, but I didn't take music at high school. I just picked up guitar on my own. Well, my friend showed me how to play a bunch of stuff. So we did that. And, we started off where the other guitar player was writing a bunch of songs because, basically if you start writing songs when you start playing music, the songs are only as good as you can play.
Right.
So it's not intimidating. It's not like, having a guitar for 2 weeks and saying, trying to figure out how to play Hotel California or something. Like it's impossible.
Right.
But, if you listen to the Ramones, they couldn't play their instruments in their first record. But their songs are so simple. That's all they had to know how to play was that one chord they'd slide around the neck.
Right.
So, I could show you how to play a Ramones song in probably about 5 minutes if I wanted to.
Really? It's that easy?
Well, I can show you one chord, and he only used one chord, and then he slid it up and down the neck. So he didn't change the position of his fingers.
So he just change the frets.
He would just, slide up and down the neck and play different chords, but using the same fingering.
Wow. Well, that makes it easier. I mean, there's tricks to everything.
And then the bass player would do the same thing. He'd play whatever note the guitar player was on. He'd play the same place on the bass.
Right.
The strings are tuned the same way. So.
Makes it sound the same.
So you can be a mediocre musician and still write songs and have them sound good because you're writing a simple song.
Yeah. Now, when you guys were in high school or whatever, you're primarily playing other songs that already exist, right? You're practicing.
Well, we started off doing some original songs.
Really?
Just because we could only play those simple songs.
Right.
And then when we got better, by the end of high school, we were playing, Cream and Hendrix and stuff like that.
Right.
As we got better, we're like, well, why are we playing our stupid songs that we wrote when we're actually good enough to play,
Yeah, some of the better stuff.
So I know in high school, we did, they had a yearly variety show. And so it was a big deal to get on that. So when I was in grade 10, we did an original song. And then in grade 11, we did My Generation by The Who. And then grade 12, we did Hendrix, Fire, and something else. And then grade 13, I was the only one stuck around for grade 13. And so
it was optional.
A bunch of guys from the music class got me to sing Devil Went Down to Georgia with them. So
really?
Yeah. So I played rhythm guitar and sang Devil Went Down to Georgia with two fiddle players battling it out.
That's fucking awesome, though. That sounds like a lot of fun. So was it the, and forgive me, I forget the name of it. I'm only going to butcher because it's funny. The Go-Go's, what was the name of the first band? I'm so sorry.
Gonks Go Beat.
Gonks Go Beat. I'm like, the Gonks was what I couldn't get my head. I'm like, Gonk.
So I started with those guys.
But that was that high school band? That was the Gonks
No,
Go
that
Beat?
was, just as I was leaving high school, I worked at Ponderosa Steakhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And a dude who worked with me at Ponderosa Steakhouse had this band, and they were novices just like the Ramones. So, they wrote super simple songs, and they couldn't play very well. And so I remember I went to a party, Ponderosa party, and they were playing there, and they got another guy who worked at Ponderosa to play bass. Only by the end of, and they were playing at the house party. By the end of the house party, the bass player was too drunk to play. So I was like, well, I can play bass. So I filled in, and so all of a sudden these guys actually sounded better because they had at least one guy who could sort of play in the band, you know?
Right.
And so a couple months later, they're like, hey man, do you want to join our band? And I was like, ooh, a new wave band? I don't know. And then I joined those guys, and it was a lot of fun. So they became Gong School Beat after a couple of years, and we got really good after a while. And
Well, yeah, and like you said, you got all that play on Much Music, which is amazing.
yeah.
So what happened? And you're saying like that band sort of just kind of broke up. Like what happened?
Yeah, I think
Because that's fascinating too, right? You hear about bands that are together, they break up. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of different.
I think we had a manager who got us a lot of those good gigs and stuff. He was an American guy, like a real hustler dude. So he liked us and got us a bunch of stuff. And then anyway, he decided he was moving back to the States. And I was like, sort of, oh geez, what are we gonna do now? And our drummer was quite a bit older, so he was getting married. And I was like, oh. I knew dudes in other bands, and so a couple of people asked me if I wanted to, split off and join with them. And that became the Town Criers, and so I did. And Town Criers took a couple of years to actually, get good. We weren't that good when we started, just because nothing really meshed, and so it was a bit of a struggle. But we did get really good after a while. We got a couple different. Rhythm section, got drummer and bass player who actually were in the cut with me years later. So when the Town Criers got these two guys, Mike Carpenter and Ian Cook, we became a really good band there. They were kind of neat because we started off sort of like a garage band, and then Mike and Ian were these rockabilly guys. So it sort of became this weird mesh of like garage rock meets rockabilly, and then we sort of got a pretty interesting sound after that.
That's very cool. And this is the Town Criers we're
It's
talking
a Town
about.
Crier. So if you listen, I think you're going to play a song called
Yeah, let's
Never Been Hurt Before. So people who go to Absolute, they'll notice at the end of that intro where Eminem's doing, Lose Yourself, you'll hear this drum beat and guitar riff, and this is the Town Criers' Never Been Hurt Before song.
Awesome. Well, we're all very familiar with that. So again, just as a little addition to that, is that the little please turn off your cell phones and we don't go swim in your toilets. That's you, right? That's you.
That was just about a week before the club opened. Jason's like, hey, can you do an intro tape? And I was like, yeah, I'll go to my friend John's place and we'll
Nice.
whip something up.
Wicked. So you just grabbed a piece from the song or whatever, or did that later become the other song?
No. This song came out in like 1989. So
Right.
so it was 15 years later we used it.
Right. I'm sitting here going, dude, that song from the Town Criers, the band that was gone before Absolute. Yeah. No, that makes it so awesome. So what's the name of the song from the Town Criers we're going to be playing?
Never Been Hurt Before.
Never Been Hurt Before. Enjoy this, guys.
One, two, three. what you want, and it might be just what you need. Yeah, John, Jeffy, and Mike were the ones who lead. Oh, something tells me that you've never been hurt before. Never been hurt before. Never been hurt before. Never been hurt before. Wow.
And we're back again after a 3-second beat on my part. I'm actually super excited to hear these songs because I've listened to the Cutmen, and that's the group that came after the Town Criers. So I've actually heard the Cutmen, and of course your current band, Life Size Men.
Yeah.
But so in terms of the Town Criers, what happened with that? Now the Town Criers was before you started stand up or during?
Yeah,
that whole...
no, that's why I started stand up. Was that band broke up? Now we didn't break up because we didn't like each other. I think it was basically just after 5 years and, not really progressing. We just sort of, I went away to France one summer and then we just never called each other when I got back. It's like, well, I'm off to France, guys. Okay, we'll see you in the fall. And then,
Let's just move out when he's gone.
yeah. So yeah, we just stopped playing. And,
Right.
We did the odd reunion show here and there. Like I think we did one maybe a couple years later in '94, and then we did another one in like 2004, and then maybe 2008. So we, and then we kept playing. Everyone kept playing. All the guys in the Town Criers kept playing. Like my friend John, did a solo thing starting around 2004 or something. So so he's been around, and so I think he realized a few months ago that our 25th anniversary was coming up of us not releasing our third record that we recorded.
Right.
So
25th anniversary of not releasing.
yeah, so we recorded it and we're gonna put it out, but then the band just sort of broke up before we did. So
Right.
and it's kind of type of thing too. You when you do write songs and play them, you want people to at least have the potential of hearing them.
Right.
So. It's easy now to put stuff out, like you just put on Apple Music. You don't have to pay for getting stuff pressed and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
So we did that, and so I don't know if you want to play a song from the latest Town Crier release. This is one that I wrote that I kind of like. It's kind of got a Bo Diddley feel and raunchy guitars and stuff. So this is called "Long Tall You."
Long tall you. Enjoy, everybody. And again, I'm loving this little us take a 2-second pause and then just keep going. It kind of sort of destroys the magic, but still, I'm hoping that everyone's enjoying. Because again, I am familiar with stuff from the Cutmen, so I can't wait to hear some of these things that I haven't heard. Now, in terms of the creation of the Cutmen, because that's where you were already doing comedy,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. And that's the band. So when you and I first met and I was, we were chatting with you, I knew you as the guy from Absolute and everything like that. And when I found out you're in a band, you gave me one of the Cutmen CDs. And that's when I got really into it because I really enjoyed your stuff.
Yeah.
So how did that come around?
Well, basically, I'd been working at the comedy club for about, this was 2008, the Cutmen. So about 4 or 5 years. And I'd been there a lot, 4 or 5 years. I was there day and night, working nights. So I'd sometimes work in the day, rush home, make supper, get back to do the box at night. So after about 5 years, I was totally burnt. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I told Jason, look, man, I can't work nights anymore.
Yeah.
I can do the day. And then, so now once I wasn't working nights anymore, I was like, hey, maybe I'll call a couple of the old town criers and see if they want to, start the Cutmen with me. So these two guys, that joined me in the Cutmen were Mike and Ian, those rockabilly guys. Mm-hmm. So they weren't in the Town Criers at the end of the Town Criers. They had quit about 2 years before we broke up. So the final record was with two different dudes on bass and drums. So, but Mike and Ian were great players. And so I was like, you guys wouldn't happen to want to play again. And this was when Facebook first came out too. So you started, getting reconnected with a bunch of people you hadn't talked to in years.
Right.
So on Facebook, I found those dudes and I was like, you guys want to start up a band? I've got a bunch of songs I wrote that maybe would be fun to try. And so they were into it. And, the Cutmen was kind of just a project for me. I thought it would be fun because I'd never played in a band where I was the only guitar player.
Okay.
So it was like a 3-piece band, power trio, classic power trio. And then I know those guys could, were good enough that I could be the only guitar player and it would still sound great. And that was a fun band. They were, sort of our version of the Ramones. It's like, what if the Ramones were actually really, really good players? And so super simple songs, super short songs, and with sort of goofy lyrics, like there's, if you listen to the lyrics there, it's, you could tell that maybe I did comedy before, but,
right.
But the thing is, in a song, you can have, one quirky line, which, is enough for a little snicker, which not strong enough for a comedy act or anything, but.
No, but it is nice to have some comic relief in songs. I mean, there's a lot of hip hop that's, it's all about the rhymes, but then there's a bunch of goofy shit in it that's making you laugh. You know what I mean? No, I really enjoyed what I heard from the Cutmen. Like I said, you gave me one of the albums. I really enjoyed it. A little piece of trivia, and I had forgotten until just moments ago when I wrote down the note, was that you guys used to practice at Absolute, right?
Yeah,
on
we
Tuesday
practiced
nights.
there. Yeah, Mondays or Tuesdays. I can't remember which.
Well, that was the funny thing, and I remember feeling awful about this because you guys were there on Tuesdays, and then what happened is when Absolute stopped doing the Tuesday show at Tailgaters, they moved to the club.
That's
and
right.
So you guys had to move to Mondays.
Oh, that's right. And then
when my stupid ass opened open mic Mondays, I basically took away your guys' rehearsal space. So I apologize formally and publicly.
That's probably indirectly led to the end of the Cutmen.
Yeah,
after that, we only practiced if we had a gig. So
really?
So basically, every couple months they'd come over to my basement and we'd get ready for a gig. And so after a couple of years of that, the drummer's like, guys, I don't think I'm going to play in this band anymore. We don't play. So
fuck, I really hope. I'm so sorry if that's the case.
No,
it's
no
like
biggie,
took away the space, and then it's like, no, it's just not.
So the Cutmen became the Life Size Men because the drummer quit, and then he knew a drummer who was a big fan that wanted to play with us. This is a guy named Jeb who played years ago in a band called Screaming Bamboo, who are pretty well known in Ottawa. So the Cutmen became the Life Size Men just because the bass player quit at the same time. So we got two new guys, plus we had this guitar player in the Cutmen that joined at the end there who stayed on, but we decided he should play lead guitar because he was really good. There's a guy named R.W. Haller. So he's a great guitar player, and we became the Life Size Men, was sort of, different band that sort of sprung from the ashes of the Cutmen.
Yeah, absolutely. There's I always I wonder about this too, like in terms of you writing a song, because I remember hearing like you hear all sorts of things like this where inspiration comes from and stuff. Like apparently either Keith Richards or Mick Jagger had a dream where they heard the opening riff from like Satisfaction, just that tune in his head or whatever. So when you're writing a song, because again, you write the vast majority of the songs for your groups, right? Where does the inspiration come from, and how do you go, okay, I'm going to write a song? Like, is it just as simple? It's like sitting down to write a joke, or
I usually force myself. Every summer when I usually take July off and go up to the cottage. So it's like, I'm going to write a song a night for 30 days. And then hopefully out of those 30 songs, I'm going to get 7 or 8 that are good. And so that's what I do now. In the olden days, I would just come up with something and try to show it to the band right away, where I sort of edit myself more now. I'll go through them and find out if I like them or not. If I can usually remember it the next day, then it's an okay song. Sometimes, you'll write a song, write the chords down on a piece of paper, and you have no idea the next day how it's supposed to go. Or
really? So you would write the music first, effectively?
No, I do it sort of at the same time. What I'll do, I'll just grab the guitar and then I'll just start bashing out a few chords.
Okay.
And, hopefully in a chord pattern I've not done before.
Right.
So it's, it doesn't sound like my other songs. And then I'll just start sort of humming a melody over the chords. And then after a while, if you're doing it for an hour or so, those sort of, the melody you're humming will slowly turn into words.
Okay.
And once you get 3 or 4 words, it's like, okay, what is the song about? And then you start adding, then I start filling in. Like if you listen to, there's a Life Size Men song called No Morrissey. So that started off just me humming. And then at one point their song, I can't something anymore. And then I'm, writing the song, any more what? And it's like, oh, any Morrissey. That's it.
Yeah.
So then the song became a song about not knowing anything about the Smiths or this guy Morrissey, because I don't.
Right.
I know one song by them, but I've heard of them, but I don't know anything about them. So it's a song about me not knowing anything about this topic.
That's cool. See, that's the part of the process that it blows me away, because I'm like, you're like, oh, these guys wrote a song. It's like, how the fuck do you write a song? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, you can play an instrumental tune and then someone just makes lyrics up, or same thing. You maybe come up with some lyrics or a nice story or whatever and go, okay, well, let's see if we can find a tune that feels like that. But like you said, if it's just, you're just sort of playing around with some sounds. This sounds nice. This sounds like a nice little tune. And then, like you said, you start,
and I'm willing to be totally silly. Like if you've got a line you like, and then the next line doesn't, you know what you want to say next, only you can't find the word that rhymes, I'll totally change how to say the word.
so that it sounds
fits.
similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, there's some of these artists, like apparently Adele has a horrible relationship with her father. I don't know if he touched her or something, but it's like people joke all the time, like, oh, thank God these things happened to her in her life because we've got her music because of it or whatever. So some people, it's like you said, like just be silly and have fun with it and enjoy something.
Oh yeah, like there's a line in that Morrissey song where I change how you say mediocre. Instead, I say mediocre, just so it rhymes with the word before. That's funny. He's totally non-mediocre. I was like, oh, very shishi.
But that's, yeah, like, so, but it's like comedy. Like, it was very similar to what you said earlier about comedy being, like there's this kind of comedy and you're like, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm not going to do it like that. Like it's cool that the music and the inspiration of the music can come. It's not like, oh, it has to be this way formulaic. It's the same thing. You can take something and twist it and bend it. And it's, at the end of the day, it's still music.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll challenge yourself. Like, I know there's a couple songs on the Cutman record where it's like, I'm going to play 3 chords and then that's going to be the next song. And the second part of the song is going to be the same 3 chords in a different order. And so, you've got to sort of, and I'm giving myself 5 minutes to do it.
Jesus.
And so, sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. There is a song on the Cutman record called Where You Going Now? And that's like a song that basically was 5 minutes, just lyrics, everything done.
Really?
And, yeah.
That quickly, eh?
Yeah. But I mean, you listen to lyrics, it's like, well, yeah, of course, he only spent 5 minutes on this. There's nothing to this song.
Well,
but it's catchy. So that's the most important thing to me is it's got to just, as long as it's catchy, I don't care what I'm saying, really, as long as it's, obviously not racist or something.
No, of course.
But,
well, that's what's funny, because I remember you and I had a conversation just this last year. We were talking, and I had mentioned to you that like Bachman Turner Overdrive has a Taking Care of Christmas song, and you guys did. Which band was that?
That was the Town Criers. We a couple Christmases there, we got together and did like a little fun Christmas thing for ourselves. And we did Taking Care of Christmas a good 20 years before Randy Bachman did.
Yeah, exactly. And I was talking to you about it, and you're like, oh, really? And I go, yeah, he's got it. And like, holy fuck, we did. And completely different lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like he stole the song or whatever. Who knows? Maybe that motherfucker. Are you listening, right? No, but it's, I mean, the lyrics are different. It's another funny song instead of, I enjoyed your guys' version just as much as the other one. In fact, I found your guys like a little more silly and stuff like that, which was nice.
This is also the unpolitically correct 90s, so we had a lot of sexual innuendo in our version, like Santa's packet in the snow and stuff like that. He's doing what now? Where? What? Santa.
Yeah, that was so funny. But it's I've really enjoyed this stuff. Like there's a song on the Life Size Men album, and I can't remember what it's got what is it called? The album with the hands coming out of the sewer, and it's like
Up Yours a Lot.
Up Yours a Lot, yeah. So and that one,
that's a line from "Fick You, I'm Drink,"
right? Which is the song that you told me about, because you were telling me that there was a band member, you guys messaged him or whatever in the middle of the night, he was drunk.
Yeah, so I think we were just we had taken the summer off for holidays, and then we were getting back together, and I was just trying to ask the guys, what, I can't remember how to play such and such a song. What key is it started in? And one guy's, well, I think it's in C. And the drummer's like, I don't know. And then our bass player's like, "Fick you, I'm Drink." A bunch of random letters after that.
And so you turned that into a song.
Yeah, that was super easy song to write. Yeah, just it's about a guy texting while he's drunk. That's basically what happened.
Fick you, I'm Drink. So can we play that now? Can we play "Fick You, I'm Drink" now?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and this one's from the Life Size Men from Up Yours a Lot.
That's right. That's also a line from the song.
Perfect. You guys enjoy "Fick You, I'm Drink." And we're back again on the same breath held from the intro. The magic of editing. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's been phenomenal. Like I said, just listening to the stuff, because it's really impressive. Like I said, the amount of work that you do too, like doing comedy, doing the management, and doing the band stuff. Plus, you're a dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're married. You have 2 kids.
Yeah, 2 boys, 21 and
Jesus
18.
Christ, that old now?
Yeah.
Oh my God, time flies.
Yeah,
Every now and again, I'd pop into the club and I'd just see like a kid in the club. I'm like, what the fuck is going? Then I was like, oh, that's Jonah Jeff's boys.
Yeah, they were tiny when we started at the club. I mean, I started working there because I was a stay-at-home dad, but I started working at the club because my youngest had started kindergarten.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I first started, they'd be around, all the time. I know our old kitchen dude used to hang my youngest, upside down by the legs and shake him like you're trying to shake coins out of someone's pocket.
Really?
And that boy now is like 6'3", so.
Yeah. Well, let's see him try it now.
Yeah.
Take a kid and spin him upside down.
Oh,
like, that's why he walks funny.
They love that stuff. That kitchen guy's really strong, man.
That's funny. So, in terms of you guys at the Life Size Men, you've got Bluesfest coming up. That's a huge deal.
Yeah, that's with the Town Criers, not the Life Size.
Right. I'm so sorry. No. Yeah. This is me paying attention. Right. Fuck's sakes. I don't know why.
It's confusing. It's confusing for me too. You know, it's like.
Well, no, but you have told me that is the third time you've told me since we sat down. And what do the other guys think of that? Because you said John, part of the...
John is a member of the Town Criers. Yeah, that's right. John Allaire, who does the Quinn's show on Saturdays. And he's played Bluesfest a lot. I played bass for him about 4 or 5 times in the past at Bluesfest.
Very cool. So, what about the other members of
well, the drummer used to play in a band called the Bush Pilots. So he's played Bluesfest a few times as well. And our bass player, Rick Dixon, has not played Bluesfest. So he's pretty excited about that.
That's very cool. And is he still part of a band?
Well, he actually just joined the Life Size Men with me.
Oh, did he? Okay, yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Our bass player left a few months ago. So I after jamming with Rick for 6 months, getting ready for the Town Criers reunion show last December, once we did the show and stopped jamming, I was like, hey man, you want to play with another band again? Because we just lost our bass player. And he's like, oh, okay. So he's caught up in that now, but. I feel sorry for him because he already was playing a band called Not Really. Once a week, he'd jam with those guys, and then I got him to play Life Size Men with me, and now the Town Criers have to start jamming again to get ready for Bluesfest. So he's going to be doing 3 bands, which is a lot.
That's cool to know that right since the beginning, though, everybody who was involved in that first one, no one just left to become an accountant or something. Everyone's still playing music and stuff like that.
But I mean, I think John's the only guy who just does music. He doesn't have another job, where Rick and Kevin and all these other guys all have jobs, and music is something they do because they like it,
Yeah, but I mean, it's still great to have that recognition to do something like, Bluesfest. Right from the beginning, though, you guys had accolades, on Much Music and stuff, getting that airtime.
Yeah.
And winning competitions and things like that.
Yeah, in the Town Criers, too. We had that song you played earlier, Never Been Hurt Before, that won, a CBC Telefest award. It was made by a bunch of dudes at Algonquin, and then it got played on CBC Video Hits, and then got played on Much Music, too. And then we had a huge show we did as well at Carlton U. Frosh Week one year, we got to open for the Hoodoo Gurus, so we were playing on the lawn in front of 10,000 people, so it's kind of cool.
I'd say.
Yeah.
In terms of and I always ask this of all of the creatives that are on the show, right? So usually comics, but anybody who's working on stuff creative, there's let me start with the good stuff. Is what so far has been the highlight of your music career? Your favorite moment from everything that you've done?
I don't even know. There's just, it's funny because, when I started playing music, my goal was to play Barrymore's.
Yeah.
And, I did that on my 3rd gig, and I was like, oh man, I really had to set my goals a little higher. So, whenever you do something that's big, you're always just waiting for the next thing,
Right.
So, when I started the Life Size Men, I was just hoping to get a Bluesfest gig just so I can get free tickets,
Right. Well, I like that. You've got a minimalist in terms of the goal setting. You're like, you know what, I'm good with this.
No, but it's all about just writing the songs and recording them and getting them out there, just so when you're dead, maybe 100 years from now, someone will go, hey, this dude,
Well, according to you guys, releasing your 3rd album's 25 years after that. I mean, you might take 100 years to get some of the stuff you're writing out now.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, dude. And I, again, the shadow to that Sun question is, have there been any points throughout, your career where it just, low points where you thought, maybe I'm done with this. Now, again, we had the conversation about the comedy part. You took comedy in as an alternative to the music stuff, and that broke up. So obviously the comedy was the thing that you're like, I'm done with this. The music is the part that stayed, which is great.
Yeah. But I mean, when I stopped playing music and started doing comedy, I wasn't interested in music at all. I didn't pick up my guitar for 5 years,
Oh, really? So
I was just like, and, I think that's just how I am, personally. I get tired of things and want to move on and learn something new, where I know,
right.
I find it mind boggling that, some guys, been doing comedy for 40 years and they still willing to travel and do dingy bars and stuff. You know?
You want to feel, like you said, you want to feel that growth, kind of thing. It was,
or I've know what this is like. I know what this is about. I've, done X amount of big gigs and what's next?
Right.
Because, comedy, I did a lot of cool things. I, got to work with lots of big guys, Mike McDonald, Mike Bullard, Mike Wilmot, all the Mikes.
Yeah, all the Mikes. That's like great. Mike Wilmot, Mike Willard. That's funny. That's so funny. So in terms of you guys, is there anything else coming up after Bluesfest or anything before Bluesfest?
Well, this is pretty funny. The Town Criers, when we did our reunion show in December there's a guy who was a big fan of ours back in the olden days. He used to come to every gig, and he won tickets to come see us on CBC because it was a sold-out show.
Right.
So he was there, and actually, I don't know if I should tell you the story. That might be a surprise. Actually, he won't hear this.
Yeah, very unlikely that he'll hear it.
So anyway, after the show, his wife's like, my husband's 50th birthday is going to be in May. Would you guys want to play for that? And we're like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. So we're playing the birthday party
nice.
For this dude.
Good gig.
And then that's also a nice warm-up for the Bluesfest. And then we're doing Bluesfest. And then, I think, after this, we'll put our name out and try to get the odd festival or something. But, we're not going to practice every week and hope, if something happens, then we'll get together and practice up for it.
Right, of course. Yeah, no, it's interesting because I can only, just like you're saying, the birthday party. I just came back from Montreal. While I was there, I was messaging with someone who was like, "Josh, do you do private parties?" And I was like, "Yes." Well, yeah, depending on what it is, yes, we do. So she's like, "Okay, my friend's looking for someone for a birthday party." And I was like, "Okay, birthday party's a little different than private parties, but all right, let's we'll see. Still available."
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Just hear Jeff clicking away in the pen, and I'm like, yeah, he's probably driving you guys crazy at this point. But the thing is, I sent her the message, sure, and she's like, cool. I'm gonna connect my friend with you. Give her your name, whatever. So our friends messaging back and forth. Yeah, I've got a birthday party and I'm like, is it for children? Like, I'm not. No, we're just thinking it's like 30 people, and how much would you do? And I gave them the number, which was small because it was for a friend, and they're like, oh, that's way out of our budget. We thought it'd be like $50, and I'm like I'm gonna. I don't need $50 that bad to just go and degrade myself in front of. I'm like, I'll whore myself out for a shit thing. But like you said, it's the same for music gigs. Like there's hell gigs for music too.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember any particularly bad fucking shows?
Yeah, I remember we Town Criers got a gig out in Sault Ste. Marie, and we played this. We were supposed to have 2 nights at this bar called the Canadian. We get there, we find out it's a country and western bar, and so we're setting up, and this guy's like, "Are you guys playing any Hank Jr.?" We're like, "No." Well, you best pack up right now.
Really? That's what he said. You best pack up.
We did our show, and at the end of the show, the guy's like, "I don't think you guys are playing here tomorrow night." And we're like, "Yeah,
really?"
We're like, "We agree. We don't want to play here tomorrow night." So we got our walking papers after one night.
They asked, did you guys contact them, or they contact you?
I think we were going to be in Sault Ste. Marie for something else anyway. So we're like, hey, while we're out here, we'll see if we can get a show somewhere else. And so we had a friend of a friend who got us booked into the Canadian country and western.
Nobody
bar.
asked any questions. Like, yeah, sure. And then they weren't like, so are they country music?
Town Criers sound pretty country to me.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck's sakes. Goddamn entertainment business in Canada, eh?
Yeah, but then lots of hell gigs, where you drive to Toronto and then it's a snowy night. And so we drove 5 hours and played for like 6 people, and it's a door deal. And back then,
fuck.
$2 a head, $12.
Yep. So for anyone listening who doesn't know what a door deal is, that means that you only get paid from what they take in at the door.
Yeah.
So that's shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we've had gigs where they paid us by check, guarantee, but then you pay them by check, and you get home and the check bounces, and it's like,
yeah, and you can't really drive back to fight for another
phone them
shitty
up.
check.
Phone them up. It's like, oh yeah, we'll get on that. We'll send it to you.
Nothing.
No. But if you just when the Life Size Men play now, it's basically where play with friends of ours that also didn't stop playing music from back in the olden days, and we'll open for our friends and bands like Good to Go and Bush Pilots and stuff like that. So
that's cool, and that's something also that I, again, from my standpoint in comedy, is very similar. Is you work with people that you know, and this person gets you that gig, you get them this gig, whatever. Like, it's not all just some stranger contacted me and I'm going to work with strangers. There's usually some form of, it's networking like anything else. Somebody somewhere along the line.
Yeah. Another dude who used to do comedy, Luigi Saracino, has a band too, so we've played with him a couple of times.
He's not doing comedy anymore?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
He's acting and playing in a band. And
that's very cool. And from Ottawa?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you look at the wall at Absolute, one of the years that we had the Just for Laughs showcase there, he was one of the comics. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very cool. Well, dude, I've loved having you on. I hope.
Oh, it's fun. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I'm hoping that you guys get some new fans into this. I hope that some of my 13 listeners are like, all right, check that out. I love your guys' stuff. Do you have anything else? You guys have any albums coming up in the near future? Like, obviously,
no. We've got a bunch of songs ready to get recorded though. Like, so we'll be doing that probably. Well, hopefully in the next year we'll get them recorded and get them up and out.
Yeah, very cool. Well, when that happens, let me know, and I'll be sure to do it. Do you guys have a Facebook page or anything like that?
Yeah, we're on Facebook and Bandcamp and crap like that. We just like writing and playing music. We are terrible at the promoting stuff.
Well, if you guys are anywhere near Ottawa in July, get yourself some tickets for Bluesfest. Again, the date is Thursday, July 12th. Okay, and you'll be able to see the Town Criers.
That's right, the Town
Criers.
Criers.
Finally got it right. The Town Criers at Bluesfest. Though my good friend Jeff Tanguay here is the vocalist and rhythm
co-lead vocalist and lead guitarist with the Town Criers.
Okay.
Rhythm guitar player in the life
And lyricist for the life. Yeah, you'd say the lesser on that one.
Yeah.
But that's great. Jeff, thank you for coming and talking to me. Thank you for everything that you do, honestly, in terms of the behind the scenes stuff in Ottawa comedy too.
No worries, man.
I appreciate it. Guys, first Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m. if you're looking for spots in Absolute Comedy, give Jeff a call and enjoy The Life Size Man and all the music you heard today. Thanks so much. And just a little post-show thing here that I will just add in at the end. If anyone's still listening at the end of the episode, I realized while we were playing the outro that we didn't get anything off the actual Cutman, Jeff. So we do have a song here that we wrote down. Do you want to throw it to the audience here? A tune from the Cutmen.
There's I Ain't Got You, and that's a drag.
Oh, yeah. Ain't Got You, and that's a drag, guys. Enjoy this song. This is for the rewarding the people who've actually sat through the outro music and enjoy. And Jeff, thank you again for coming in and chat with me.
Thank you, man.
All right. I got lots of termites in the kitchen. I got a sticky bun on mag. I got to do a little bitching cause I ain't got you and it's a drag. I ain't got you and it's a drag. I got a lot of good intentions. I don't really wanna brag. I got too many things to mention, but I ain't got you and it's a drag. I ain't got you and it's a drag. gonna do? What am I gonna do? Yeah, what am I gonna do? Yeah, what am I gonna do?